Good evening. Welcome to History of the Promise Bible Handbook Bible Study, presented by He Promise Publications. Today we are doing Genesis chapter 14. Okay, so yesterday's episode, Genesis chapter 13, Avram and Lot separated ways. Today, Genesis chapter 14 talks about Avram rescues his nephew Lot. Now, any of you who, if you did the Bible study with us yesterday, we did talk about, and hopefully you looked up to figure out or tried to figure out what type of disrespect Lot had. It was not overt. It was nothing you would even think is disrespectful. But we're seeing Lot went on his way, and all of a sudden, Abram has to go rescue his nephew. So let's go ahead and get into this, and then of course we'll have our questions and comments at the end, and we'll do how we do. Here I go again. But every time I'm out here, I'll give you a show. I just kind of look over sometimes, and I was like, out of the blue, I wonder when those apples are going to be done. And they should be ready in a month or so. We're in August, probably next month. But yeah, here we go. My brain. Okay, so let's do this. Genesis chapter 4. Abram rescues his nephew Lot. Verse 1. In the days of Amraphel, king of Shinar, Arioch, king of Elasar, and here we go again. Chedorlaomer. I'm going to have to work on that. Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Tidal, king of Golim. They made war with Bera, king of Sodom, Birsha, king of Gomorrah, Shinab, king of Admah, Shemeber, king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, also called Zoar. All these joined together in the valley of Siddim, also called the Salt Sea. They served this name. Sorry, guys. Chedorlaomer. Chedorlaomer. I'm not going to get it right, so I need to quit saying it. Chedorlaomer for 12 years, and in the 13th year they rebelled. In the 14th year, Chedorlaomer came, and the kings who were with him, and struck the Rephaim in Ashtaroth, Karnaim, and Zuim in Ham, the Emim in Shaveh Kerethiim. I know that's wrong. That I am is Eam. So, Kiriathaim. Jiminy crickets. And the Horites in their Mount Seir to El Paran, which is by the wilderness. They returned and came to En-Mishpat, also called Kadesh, and struck all the country of the Amalekites, and also the Amorites that lived in Hazazon Tamar. The king of Sodom and the king of Gomorrah, the king of Admah, the king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, also called Zoar, went out, and they set the battle in array against them in the valley of Siddim. Against Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, Tidal, king of Goim, Amphrael, king of Shinar, Arioch, king of Elasar, 4 kings against 5. Now, the valley of Siddim was full of tar pits. And the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled, and some fell there. Those who remained fled to the hills. They took all the goods of Sodom and Gomorrah. So, the kings that were fighting against Sodom and Gomorrah, and the other 3 kings, or 2 kings they were with, 2 or 3, one out the gate, because look, they kind of took off and ran, and so they took all their stuff. Everything they had, they took it. Okay? And all their food, and went their way. Here we go. Verse 12. They took Lot, Abram's nephew, who lived in Sodom, and his goods, and departed. One who had escaped came and told Abram the Hebrew. Now here we go. This is one of the first times that Hebrew is mentioned, that this race of people is mentioned, the Hebrews, okay? Something to keep in your mind for later. We're not going to go that deep into it today. Okay, so one who had escaped came and told Abram the Hebrew. At that time he lived by the oaks of Mamre, the Amorite, brother of Eshcol and brother of Aner. They were allies of Avram. When Abram heard that his nephew was taken captive, he led out his 318, get this, 318 trained men born in his house and pursued as far as Dan. He divided himself against them by night, he and his servants, and struck them and pursued them to Hobah, which is on the left hand of Damascus. Real quick, you guys can always grab old maps and look at where these places are to kind of give you a feel for what was going on, okay? All right, he divided himself against them by night, he and his servants, and struck them and pursued them to Hobah, which is, okay, so I already read it, but I'm reading again, which is on the left hand of Damascus. He brought back all the goods, and also brought back his nephew Lot and his goods, and the women also, and the other people. The king of Sodom went out to meet him after his return from the slaughter of Chedorlaomer, and the kings who were with him, at the valley of Shaveh, that is the king's valley. Now again, I'm going to go back. We got a group of kings who came against another group of kings and beat them basically because the other ones fled off. One man, Avram, and 318 people went out against them and won. Keep that in your mind. 318 people plus Avram against these other kings who had already, quote unquote, won a battle. Okay. Okay, verse 18. Melchizedek, commonly believed to be Shem, son of Noah. Now I told you those men are still living a little bit longer. King of Salem, which would later become Jerusalem under King David, brought out bread and wine. He was priest of Yahweh Most High. Now, firstborn sons are normally called the priests of their family. And as it is believed, Shem was the firstborn son of Noah. So he was still, if Melchizedek was indeed Shem, he was the priest of his family. Okay. He blessed him and said, "Blessed be Avram of Yahweh, Most High, El, capital E meaning God, possessor of heaven and earth, possessor of heaven and earth." Keep that in your brain. Blessed be Yahweh Most High, who has delivered your enemies into your hand. Abram gave him a tenth of all. So he gave him a tenth of everything he brought back. The king of Sodom said to Abram, "Give me the people and take the goods for yourself." Abram said to the king of Sodom, "I have lifted up my hand to Adonai, Yahweh Most High, possessor of heaven and earth, that I will not take a thread, nor a sandal strap, nor anything that is yours, lest you should say, I have made Abram rich." So he gives him back all his stuff. Basically say, so you can never say that because of what you gave me, you made me a rich man. And that way, it takes that out of the equation. So in verse 24, he says, "I will accept nothing from you except that which the young men have eaten, and the portion of the men who went with me, Amer, Eshcol, and Mamre. Let them take their portion." Okay, so that's the end of that chapter. He ran out 318 men. He beat down some kings who had beaten some other kings, rescued his nephew, brought back all the goods that were taken, didn't take nothing for it, basically. Say, if my men ate something, let them have that. I don't need nothing. This is how this went down, okay? So we're going to jump right into the questions and comments, because as you can see, it's probably close to 9 o'clock up here, but hey, that's this area. It's starting to get dark, and I'm not trying to be outside that long. All right, so first question: why did Avram enter into the war that was going on between 9 Canaanite kings? Why did Abram enter into the war that was going on between 9 Canaanite kings? I'm going to throw in this one to take you back. Who is Canaan? The Canaanites come from Canaan. And what is, let me tell you, who did he come from? And what is different about him? All right. So I want you to go back, think in your brain, who is Canaan and what is he known for right out the gate? Okay, what two lands were taken? One in which Lot and his family lived. So when the other kings came in and took, what 2 lands were taken? And remember, go ahead and pause me. Look in your Bibles, Google, however you guys are getting down with this. If you have History of the Promise in your hands, great. It makes it easier to flip back a couple pages. Okay. Here's a statement. This is the first time, I already said it, here I go again. This is the first time that Abram is referred to as a Hebrew, a name that will stay with one line of his descendants for all time. Because Abram has a few lines down towards the end. Before he passes away, he has quite a few sons, okay? But one line will retain the name of Hebrew for all time, okay? Next question. According to this chapter, who is the possessor of the heavens and earth? According to this chapter, who is the possessor of the heavens and earth? I'm going to throw in extra here, but the next question is, if you possess something, does that make you its owner? If you possess something, does that make you its owner? I want you guys to, this is an extra, go look up synonyms for possess and possessor to give you a heightened understanding of what this word is, okay? I know what that word means. You'd be amazed. I said that a whole lot during the 4 years that this book was being written. And lo and behold, I came up on some shockers, okay? So just check it out. You don't have to, because you don't have to do nothing. I'm not sitting right there with you. But if you're wanting to get a deeper understanding of this book that has never been looked at as a history book, but as a fantasy book, how it's been presented to us by the time we got to this point, this will help you get an understanding of the words. All right. So let's see. Statement. This is the first mention of a tenth of something being given to a priest of Yahweh. This is called a tithe, which you will learn more about in the next book of this story. So you're not going to learn about it in Genesis, but you're going to learn about it in Exodus and why the tithe came to exist. Like I said, we don't know we don't know, it's not told us what everybody knew during this period, during the start in Genesis. But this is the first time it's mentioned. So it should not come a shock to you. It's come a shock to you when it comes up again in the book of Exodus. Okay? Question. Why didn't Abram accept any of the spoils of war? Why didn't Abram accept any of the spoils of war? All right, here's another to-do for you guys. The last one for this chapter looks like. Research spoils of war to increase your understanding of what man would consider his reward for winning such a battle. Research spoils of war to increase your understanding of what man would consider his reward for winning such a battle. And again, this was a huge battle. Handful of people basically took out a handful of kings and their people. All right. So that is it for chapter 14. Tomorrow we're going to be doing Genesis chapter 15, which is about 400 years of slavery in the future. So this chapter is going to talk about something that Yahweh himself told Avram what was going to happen to his descendants. All right. Anyway, you guys have a good evening, and we'll do this again tomorrow. Bless you, and may you continue to allow your minds to be open to hearing these words in a way you have not heard them before. All right. Take care.